Hi everybody and welcome to the channel. Today's topic is going to be to team or not to team. As you know, we built this channel for real estate agents to answer the questions that they really want to know answers to. Makes sense? And today I have a special guest that I'd like to introduce, my lovely wife, Erin Wilson.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
It's fun to be in your studio.
Well, I appreciate you being here. And so everybody likes to ask the question, let's talk about to team or not to team. And that's one of those things that you get a lot of input on it. Like I can say, hey, what it's like being on my team.
Right.
But you were a former team leader of a market center as well as the current team leader of our team itself.
Right.
And this topic you've actually taught on a lot, correct?
I absolutely have. Yeah, I've recruited just about 600 agents into the real estate, and it is a common misconception as to what teams are all about. And I think today's topic is going to be an important one to really dispel myths and to bring understanding as to whether or not a team is right for an agent looking at growing the real estate business.
That makes perfect sense. So what we're going to hit today on this is we're going to talk a little bit about our team. We're going to talk about what team models are, a little bit about the dependent, independent, interdependent models of what kind of makes a team. And then you're going to kind of share some of the experiences of other teams that you've helped grow. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right, sweet. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to turn it over to you, and I may interrupt with questions along the way because that's what our marriage looks like.
I appreciate it. And we do have some visuals too, to be able to share some visuals along the way. So let's just talk about the problem real quick. As you know, and many may not know, 80% of the real estate industry are part-time, spare time, or worse, hobbyist agents. And just imagine for a moment working with a part-time or a spare time dentist or doctor.
That sounds horrible. I already hate the dentist.
It's already a little terrifying to think of it in terms of the medical industry. And yet, in essence, we as agents perform what would be considered financial surgery. So it's important to draw that analogy of how important our work is in real estate, and how safe would you feel having a hobbyist perform surgery?
I don't feel safe at all with that concept. Obviously, that's like a medical one. Do you think it applies to real estate in general? I mean, there's a lot of part-time agents that seem to be really successful. How do you respond to that?
Certainly, and that's going to be based on how learning-based they are. How quickly they can get up to speed. If they are just doing 1 or 2 deals in a year, it's really important for them to keep their education up so that they're performing that financial surgery with the highest level of expertise that they can achieve. So it can be done, and I'm kind of knocking part-time, spare time, and hobbyists, because the point of the matter is we're talking about teams today. And teams, in my opinion, need to be full-time career professionals. So I'm just trying to draw a comparison of what it looks like in a full-time professional career in a partnership with a team.
Okay, so I want to just address that. What I heard you say, and I often have to do this in my marriage because she says things and I'm like, oh yeah, I got that, and that's not at all what she meant.
Nope.
So what I heard you say is that part-time agents that are learning based can do well in this business, but in your experience, they ultimately are on a path to becoming full-time career agents if they're exceptional at it. Because why would you be awesome at this and continue as a part-time agent once you've seen what you can make?
And there's always exceptions to the rule. The challenge is that the industry is changing very quickly. And in order to stay up with those changes, to provide the highest level of customer service, it's important for that agent to remain flexible and fluid with the market, to learn and change and flow with the market. So it's all about education. It's all about training and building that knowledge base. But this is not a debate on part-time or full-time agents today. So the point of the matter is, in turn, because of how the public views real estate agents, and that the value, the public really has a low view of real estate agents in general. And
well, that's true.
The value that a full-time career professional can bring to the client to perform the equivalent of what the analogy we're drawing of financial surgery. It's important to know that in order to have the highest levels of customer service, they need to remain learning based. So, let's in turn for those that take a career approach, to the profession. Most are considered general practitioners. So for those that are full-time, they're general practitioners, meaning that they, so if we're relating it to the medical field, right, they're general physicians, right? They're those that do all things for all people, and maybe even a little bit like the country doctor that does filing the paperwork or the insurance, filing the insurance and sets the appointments and collects the bills but then also practices the medical surgeries, right? So the point of the matter is that even with the part-time and a hobbyist comparison to full-time career professionals, there are those that are then general practitioners that do all the tasks related to being to perform the actual real estate transaction. So in this environment, it's my opinion that we have a massive need in our industry for specialists, for those that can partner with people who are skilled in other areas in order for that specialist to perform that financial surgery at a high level.
Okay, so that begs the question, we need to define specialist, right? Mm-hmm. So when you say specialist, are you referring to only buyers or only sellers, or is there other amalgamations of that kind of, definition?
I generally wanted to define it as those that are skilled in a niche area of expertise to serve the public at a much higher value to the client and connected more to the talents and the skills of the person, so that they can live a happier and healthier business and providing a higher level customer service. So in short, it can mean working only with buyers, or it can mean only working with sellers. Now, on our particular real estate team, we have our agent partners work with both buyers and sellers. So it's not
isolated. It's about whatever the niche or the niche is.
That's right. It is doing a real estate transaction, but only performing the tasks in the real estate transaction that are the sales agent. What we would consider the highest income producing opportunity within the real estate transaction is what we consider lead generation, a follow-up with those prospects and the leads, building the relationships with the people in our community, and going on appointments, signing agreements, negotiating. All of these things are the highest level income activities. Everything else can be done with high level administrative assistance. So, and I've got some visuals to help explain that, to give a visual as to what that looks like, because we can talk about it all day long. And I think that's why there's lots of misconceptions out there as to what powerful high level teams can provide and value, and allow the agent who is skilled in the specific areas of the real estate transaction to be able to specialize and just focus on those activities. So we're talking about the problem right now. So in that need, we have, there's also in our environment, terrible teams. Can I just say that out loud? There's terrible teams that are led by egomaniacs. And so the fact of the matter is, an additional problem in our industry, even with those that do build teams and have team opportunities, is that there are really terrible teams out there that are led by egomaniacs and are not service-based teams. They are, they can be very transactional and not take into consideration the depth of relationship that it takes to really grow in a community and connect in a community. So that's also a challenge. And I think KW does a great job in building teams that are service-based, and that the leaders are servant leaders that really give of their gifts and talents to be able to serve the people that work with them, rather than this, hierarchical, dictatorial environment that teams sometimes take on, and which is not healthy as well. So not all teams are healthy teams, and it's important to know that that whoever you partner with on a team environment needs to be of similar values and shared values, right?
Okay, I mean that makes a lot of sense. All right, so then where would you take the conversation from there? I mean, obviously, avoid dictators. Right? That just seems like a good rule.
Steer away from the egomaniacs. Right?
Okay, and then focus on what?
Yeah. So you're just like in our marriage. You don't let me finish explaining the problem. You go right for the solution, right?
That's correct. Right, because that's what they're here for, is the solution.
Okay, of course. And I'm going to share one more misconception, and then we'll go right into the solution.
Fair enough.
Okay, so many times people who misunderstand teams perpetuate the misconception that agents only join teams if they can't do it on their own.
Yes, I've heard that. I've had dozens of conversations
Right.
about that.
Right.
I've even had some people call me and say, "Hey, we think this person would be good for a team because they're hurting and they can't get any deals done.
They can't
and
do deals,
and they don't
so
want."
so now we're the hospital for agents who can't close business, right,
Okay.
or serve the public in a high level. We're a hospital.
Well, that sounds fantastic.
No.
I don't want to be the hospital. Good
No.
gracious.
No. Because there's a reason why that person's struggling, and if it is just a skill or training issue, then yes, of course we can address that. And yet, many times this person shouldn't be in real estate, right? That's just really the fact of the matter. Let's just be honest about it. So let's talk about solutions, right?
Fair enough. What do you got?
So
now we get to the part where the solutions are, where the part that you tuned in for, which is the team or not the team. So we've covered some of the misconceptions. We've covered the fact that I always go for the solution first. We have not covered the fact that even when I'm talking, she talks over top of me. But the camera switching, we'll stay on top of that, so we make sure you're on frame. All right, so now you're going to cover the going right down to brass tacks, and this is what you coached dozens of other teams to high-level performance in figuring out who's a good fit for their team.
That's
so,
right.
And I'd also like to make sure we touch on cultural fits, right? Because somebody that may be perfect for one team may not be the right fit for another. So I'll turn that over to you. Let's go ahead and talk through that.
Right. So right now, so the solution really is a high functioning real estate team built with full-time career professionals, agents that have experience, expertise, reputation, and operate with excellence, that have a specialist approach. They're okay giving up some of the tasks. They're okay with partnership. They're okay with asking for help. They're okay with saying, I'm not good at every aspect of this job.
So wait a minute. You're saying they're giving up control?
Yes.
That can't be true.
Actively giving up control. They have a preference to do that because they know what they're good at, and then they want to spend most of their time doing what they're good at. Isn't that what happiness is all about?
Well, I would assume that spending the time doing what you're good at would be what people would want to do. Yet we resist it over and over again, which is an interesting topic. We don't have time to dive into the psyche of why we step in the way of our own happiness, but it's notable to at least mention that that's what we do. So there's a lot of stepping in front of our own happiness to, I guess, remain in control, I suppose. So, okay. All right. So take us down the journey of I'm an agent. I've gotten in this business. I have a level of success. However, I'm not fully happy because there's areas that I just really suck at in this business.
Right.
I have a
That's
missing
right.
who, and
Yep.
Does that mean
You avoid those tasks, you procrastinate on them, and then you don't provide the level of service that's needed for the client.
Right. So then I have to decide whether I join a team, build a team, or if I'm just missing a component in my solo journey that makes sense. So let's dive into that. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and give the visual here up on the screen. I've got a visual directly out of the Gary Keller Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. So I don't know what page it's on. I'm sure those educated in that will know exactly what page it's on. And it shows up in a couple different places, actually. So this is what's called the 7th level concept. It is the seven potential models of people leverage of a financially wealthy real estate agent. So when we're talking an independent or solo agent, that's going to be a level 1 agent that's doing all of the activities of the transaction start to finish in their business. They're an independent contractor with their local brokerage, and they're doing all aspects of the real estate transaction, start to finish, and that's what's called no leverage. Level 2 is where then that agent moves into hiring an administrative assistant, and hiring an administrative assistant to do some of the administrative tasks. That's a level 2 agent. Level 3, of course, you see more administrative assistants. Level 4 is where leverage in partnering with a buyer specialist. And then level 5, the seller specialist comes aboard, or in our case, we've got both. Our agents work with both buyers and sellers, but there's different ways to build this out. All the way down to a 7th level, where then the agent brings in a manager or CEO to run the team, and the CEO operates the team while the agent is opening other businesses and operating other businesses alongside their real estate team. So there's 7 different models here to operate from, but it's a good visual to say how we're then building out a team is taking that first step to get some leverage leverage and be able to navigate through to team or not to team, that there are opportunities within a team, within administrative positions or in sales positions, for those that are really skilled at sales and want to specialize in those activities. All right. So in that then, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Task List and Systems List. You can actually find this and download this if you go to kellerinc.com. That's KELLERINK.com, and click on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Resources, and you'll actually be able to download this. This is a start to finish list, A to Z, of 192 tasks that a real estate agent performs, of all shapes and sizes of activities. And so you can see this column here where it says level 1 would be that solo agent and all the things that are priority, all the things priority for working with a buyer, priority for working with a seller, a transaction and coordination, the administrative and accounting, the marketing, just the list goes on and on. So it's 192 tasks of activities to perform a high level customer service and have a repeatable, referable real estate business. All right. So let's get back to the specifics here and talk a little bit about what that means. So as we look through that task list, what I typically do in coaching is when somebody's exploring a team opportunity is really dive through that task list and say, look, let's use a highlighter, go through and highlight the things that are the surgeon's tasks, right? Go back to the analogy we used at the beginning. What are the activities that needs to be done by the surgeon? What are the activities that are done by a high level support team, a success team, administrative activities really that are in that, in our environment here in Atlanta, Georgia, we're in that $15 to $20 to $25 an hour administrative tasks on that list in order to perform at a high level. But we certainly would not pay $500 an hour to post on social media, right?
Right.
That's a administrative level activity that is in that range of administrative pay. And there are those that are super skilled at that and that are that love those activities and love the consistency of a 9 to 5 job, and that they thrive in that environment. And so it's important to know that not one is better than the other, and that it takes a mixture of both to make a really successful real estate team. And we want to partner with people who are passionate about what they do and have high level skill to do it. So, when we take a look at that, we're really kind of comparing the dollar per hour activities. Because if you think of a solo real estate agent, they're doing the $20 an hour tasks, and they're doing the $500 an hour task. So it's a blend. And they really have a cap on how many units they can do before they burn out.
Okay, so what does that cap look like? Is there a specific number? I mean, I would imagine it fluctuates between the agents and whatnot, but you've seen a bigger gamut than I have. My microcosm has been in production that I've done and people I've partnered with, so I kind of know that. Like, I've got certain agents that will be able to do more than others. Different ones have different skill sets in different areas, right? Like one will shine in another one, and somebody else will find that difficult and ask for their help, that kind of a thing. So,
So National Association of Realtors says it takes on average about 50 hours to work with a client start to finish, buyer or seller, just a very, very rough average of 50 hours. If that's the case, you add up 50 hours, in a calendar year, how many units can be done with taking some time off or having a sick week or even a vacation, right? So the reality of it is
vacations. I remember what those look like.
I don't think solo agents go on vacation. They take their phone and their laptop with them. I've had agents writing offers as they're sitting at the bottom of ready to go into Yellowstone National Park, and they're having to write offers for buyers. So, and thankfully so, they get the privilege to work with a buyer, and yet they don't have any leverage to help support them.
I remember that we always had a policy.
While they're on vacation.
Yeah, we always had a policy. We'd go on vacation, and I'd basically be in a full-on panic until the ship left, and then we had no way for anybody to reach us. So I'm like, well, if it burns down, we'll be able to get back. Yeah. And our agents always did a great job. And always took care of stuff. And the only reason we have to do internet packages now is because we got into the Airbnb, and we just need the social media access to be able to respond to guests coming in. And we're building around that to have leverage for somebody to be able to take that over. But
there will be partnership in that.
But I've never written an offer on a cruise.
No.
I have never taken a buyer call on a cruise. The only time I think I might have taken a text message, and it was only for my buddy Derek Good and one of his deals on this. But that's literally it. Beyond that, it's it's almost non-existent.
Which, to some extent, we need to understand that does not serve the client. Partnership is really how we can serve the client at the highest level when they have the ability.
That's an everybody thing, right? It doesn't serve the people because they don't get an actual vacation.
Right.
The client's
doesn't
getting
serve the
distracted
family.
work, right? Versus a dedicated professional that's there that goes, hey, I got this, right? That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. And underestimated how important that is to take time off. So back to the question, how many units can be done in a calendar year with a solo agent with no leverage? That's been based on an average of about 20 to 25 units. We find that with no leverage, there's just not enough time in the day to close any more units than that without any additional leverage. So it's important to take a look at that and say, okay, what do I want my quality of life to be? Do I want to be a general practitioner? And that's okay if you do, and that's your choice.
That's fair. I mean, we know many very happy people that do 25 transactions a year. They kill it.
Right.
And if you ask their clients, they're phenomenal,
They
right?
love
So
them.
there isn't a loss in this. So to team or not to team isn't an argument for teams. It is literally to understand what a team is to see if it's a right fit for you. I feel like if everybody had to wear the same pair of pants, some people are going to look really good and other people are going to look really ridiculous, right?
That's right.
And so this is about pants that fit. I think I might call it that.
Specialization means leaning into the gifts and talents that we have and being able to spend the majority of our time in those gifts and talents, which to me is happiness. So here's the thing is that, at this point in the conversation, talking about the different strategies, I think at this point, Jason, why don't you explain the difference between a dependent, interdependent, and independent agent?
Got it. Okay, so this is one of my favorite conversations because it's taken me a long time to really understand the difference. Arguably, teams tend to be some level of a dependent model, meaning the specialization is dependent on the other areas of the business being covered for them, but it doesn't necessarily make them a dependent person. So covering it from a basic level, the original, and that's probably bold to say, but let's just call it that, the model of real estate, which is I'm pot broker, right? And everybody's an agent underneath me and they're dependent agents. Typically, when you hear the word dependent, there are, you start talking about splits. We're going to leave the conversation of money out of this. And the reason that the splits were what the splits were is about what was needed, right? From that. So dependent agent is, generally speaking today, is somebody who's like, I need you on speed dial because I may have a question. And if I have a question, I need to be able to get an answer. And I also need your help to be able to get leads coming in, right? So there's a dependency, which isn't a bad thing. There's great models of dependent models. There's even great teams that they cover all this for you, and there's obviously a lesser cut, and all you're doing is going on appointments, and that's great. So you go to the swing of independent. Independent is like, I hang my license at this brokerage, and don't call me, I'll call you. If I need something from you, I'll pick up the phone, and you might go 6 months without ever seeing this person, and they do production, right? They turn in, they make money, and therefore it's a different type of compensation. What the interdependent model, which is what KW was built on, is like a hybrid between the two. So the idea is let's just say, and I'll actually use my story as an example. I was a six-figure producer early on in my career. As a six-figure producer, I thought independent was the way to go. I was working short sales. I was an expert in the field. I had been a national speaker and teacher on the topic. And then I went to an expo. I walked into an expo and there's a panel full of people. And it feels like the toothpaste commercial, right? It's 7 out of 10 dentists approved Colgate. And what it was is 7 out of 10 real estate agents up there were all with Keller Williams. And in my youthful arrogance, I said, I'm smarter than most of those people. And so I was like, why aren't I up there? And the answer was, well, I didn't know anybody and I had no influence in this particular area. And so immediately we moved to KW. What I realized is despite the fact that I had achieved a level of success, it was more in spite of me than because of me. So there's a humbling moment for you. But what came out of it was I now found myself in a learning environment and realized that I thrive in an interdependent model. So the interdependent model means I'm not requiring other people to find self-motivation to do things, but I am learning based, and what I need them to do is to challenge me to think bigger. And so there's this give and take in it. Like I'll go out and do my thing and I'll come back and I'm like, I'm having these problems. And in an interdependent model, somebody's like, I've had problems like that. Let's collaborate. So it's collaborative, it's educational. The leadership challenges you and says, hey, that's awesome. You did 46 transactions. Why not 50? Why did you stop at 46? And you might be like, well, that's rude. Why? Why can't you just celebrate the fact that I did, 46 transactions instead of asking me for 50? That seems silly. But what it did is, let's just look at the results. Fast forward this many years later, right? We joined Keller Williams end of 2009, beginning of 2010. It is currently 2024. At the time, it was a gross income of under six figures because the market had dipped, right? So we were in a six-figure income, moved up here, fell under it, came back to it, right? So right around that edge, let's say between $80,000 and $120,000 a year. And then instead, we were able to build a team that at five separate times in the last several years has earned over $1 million in commissions. Right. And so people ask me all the time, well, why don't you go back to an independent brokerage? And I'm like, well, I can give you 1 million reasons why not. And the reality is that I seem to thrive better in a collaborative environment. And so if you're going to think in terms of interdependent, I'm going to ask you how you define it, but I define interdependent as collaborative, educational, and leadership growth-based. I'm going to define independent as in I got what skills I got, I'll grow where I grow, and I'll do what I do. And dependent is I'm just to describe that as help, and we'll go with that. What are your thoughts?
Right. So, and I think even within all brokerages, you do have agents that are of those philosophies.
Agreed, right? Like you actually have all of them in there, and there's actually a place for all of them. So don't take it on its not. So there's a couple things I actually want to clarify in there now that I'm thinking about that in the right way. And what that would be is there's a journey, right? Everyone. Nobody woke up and went like this and went, I'm a realtor. And then they sold 50 houses, and didn't learn anything. Everybody started at a level of dependency. So the journey to interdependency is through dependency. And it is also possible that you've grown to independent, and then you can go on a journey from independent to interdependent. So the journey is either direction.
That's right.
So no matter where you find yourself, you can go either way, and every brokerage will have pockets of all three of those things. Right. And I'm going to make this statement, and maybe it gets me in trouble, maybe it doesn't. The most growth that you will achieve, the highest ceilings, is through an interdependent model or being on the journey to interdependency as just a life mission.
Absolutely. One of the things that it makes me think of is raising our kids. Right? Initially, when they're born and they're through their adolescence, through elementary school and middle and high school, they're dependent, right?
How not to kill them. I remember.
They're dependent. They're dependent on the beginning for food, shelter, and safety. And then, of course, our goal is then in their teenage years and as they get up in age to become independent. Right, that they can do their own laundry. They can wake themselves up in the morning, clean their own rooms, right? And I think we got started because we are interdependent. We actually encouraged our kids to get independent quickly, and they actually became very independent quickly. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
Yes, like do the dishes after we have our friends over,
that's right.
And everybody eats. And I recall several of our friends would ask the question, how do you get them to do that? Because they brought their kids too, right? So our kids are playing with their kids. And I believe my answer was they want to eat. Because if they're going to live here, they're going to participate. And they were like, and that works? And I'm like, Apparently, I mean,
The secret is you got to get started early when they don't understand what's happening and they think it's fun to clear the dishes. So we started very, very early. That's the secret.
don't tell anyone.
That's the parenting secret. So back to the journey. So, right, dependency, then to independent, and then what the ultimate growth of a human being is to grow into interdependence, where they're building their own families, they're connecting in the community, they're growing in relationships, and that's an interdependence. So I think it's a growth and a maturity process.
I would agree with that. I would say that a lot of what we described that was you're in the, like when you're in the parenting mode, in the dependency is, well, I'm going to put it in my terms, but dad rules all, right? That's the general rule. And then it shifts into
Except over mom.
Yeah, except over mom. But so that's where it goes, and then it turns into like a more of a coaching role, and then eventually just becomes a peer consultant role.
Peer-to-peer.
Which that transition for my son, because he was like, emancipate me now, I want out of here at like 16, and mostly because he was tired of me telling him what to do. And as soon as that happened, he bought a house at 18, 3 months after he turned 18, was Chris Coulter's youngest client, our loan officer. And so we were able to pull that off. Different story. There's actually a video on it. Go check it out. But the end result was this. Less than 6 months later, he came over, sat in the hot tub. He looked at me and he goes, you know what, Dad? He has a bunch of roommates, right? So he's got a house. Roommates are paying the bills. Yeah. He's like, if I don't yell at anybody or yell at everybody, nothing gets done. And I'm looking at him going, I'm sorry? Say what?
What?
He's like, yeah. I mean, if I don't yell at anybody, like this house a pigsty, they won't pick up after themselves. And I was like, huh.
Wow. That's wow.
In less than 6 months, you became your old man. I'm like,
right.
I'm in my 40s and you're not even 20.
It was a record.
It was a freaking record. And the kid just managed to, figure that out real quick. And we went into that consulting mode where it's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Yeah. And so my general response now with all three of our kids is, okay, here's my thoughts. I'm not telling you what to do. Here's some information you may want to consider. Let me know what you decide.
Yeah.
So.
We've let him make decisions all along. So we kind of got off into parenting mode there. It's a great way to describe that. And as to the difference between,
well, there's really no difference in the business world, right?
No,
I mean, obviously you're not going to, they're not infants and we're not treating them like children. They're business partners.
Of course.
Yet on the business journey, the same rules apply, right? There's a dependency. Here's the protocol. Here's how you follow. This is how we treat clients. And then as you master that, you get leeway to add your flavor to it, your version of it. Right. And then when they achieve that level of interdependency, it becomes a, hey, I have this client. I know how to handle these things. I'm curious, what's your opinion on this particular issue my client's giving me?
That's right.
And you go, I'm not telling you what to do. Here's some information you may want to consider. And they go, you know what? I was thinking that might be the answer, but I just wanted to verify it. Thanks so much. And then they handle it. That's no different, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And then, of course, interdependency is what we could achieve together. And so let's talk a little bit about an interdependent environment and kind of finish this up. I want to explain a little bit about a team value toolbox, right? Because those of you who may be watching this might not be right here in this local area. You may not be, a potential team member for our real estate sales team. But you may be on the journey of exploring team opportunities wherever you may live. And so I do want to talk 10 areas, and very quickly, I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. You can always reach out to us at an appointment. We can go through specifics and make sure and really look at a team value proposition.
That's okay. Hit them in the face with it. Let's give them.
So let's go through 10 things. So first thing in this type of environment is technology is super important. Technology is critical, mission critical for real estate sales agents to be successful.
And I'm going to interrupt on that just because for all of you people that are on my age bracket leaning towards the AIM side of the hill, and you're like, I don't do technology or the Facebooks and all those things. I've said all those things. I feel that way. I'm mostly angry about the entire thing. And enjoying it is not a requirement of doing it.
Yeah.
You just got to do it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, just do it. And so technology is super important. And what we underestimate is the systemization of technology, is that's where the leverage needs to happen, is the systemization of that technology to really make the experience of real estate better for the client. That's the point. So technology is a big one. Partnership. So we're going through 10 items of a value toolbox. So number 2 is going to be marketing. And that's marketing of all shapes and sizes, and the production of that marketing. We're not just talking about the marketing of the seller's house, which is critical to get that house sold at top dollar. It's actually talking about marketing efforts of the team to generate more opportunities for the team. In our environment, every bit of marketing is paid for by the team. No sales agent on our team takes on marketing costs, and that is important for the profitability of that team member to actually can be in some circumstances more profitable than the team leads, because in the right setup in a team environment, the team takes on all the expenses of the team.
That's interesting. Keep going.
Yep. So education, right? So get in a place, if you're learning based, get in a place where it actually provides the right kind of education. And education is training, right?
Oh, good gracious.
That shows up in every bit of our world is training.
It is the endless plight of my life.
That's right.
And I guess I enjoy it. Let's just move on.
Yep, absolutely. And it's where we need to spend most of our time. So, and there's a difference between brokerage training and team-specific training. We have book clubs, weekly team meetings specific to the local market. We have training through our vendor partners. There's so much training and education that happens. Brokerage training can be very generalized, right? So a lot of times it's very general. Team-specific training is very specific to the market that we are in and the value that the niche areas of specific buyers and sellers that we're looking to reach. Specifically, like, let's talk luxury, right? So education around how to maximize luxury clients and get the most money, help them get the most money on the sale of a luxury home means that we spend more money on our luxury listings. Anything up over $700,000 or more, being KW luxury agents, we have a specific strategy to help them maximize their dollar.
Just like we have something specific for all of our investors.
That's
Investors
right.
are very different, and they deal with more complex structures of things. And so there's specificity in those different areas.
That's
but
right.
I agree.
And so because we're a team, we can specialize and have the best of the best trainings specific to the value that we provide. So coaching, let's talk about coaching. Being a coach and coaching agents and being passionate about coaching. I used to be a productivity coach for new agents, and where I would coach anywhere between 80 to 100 new agents at a given time, and have coached. And so having high level and yet making it personalized to who the person is. I find a lot of times coaching is generalized again. Like it's a one size fits all, follow this ABC model, and you'll get success. And maybe you might get success, and yet having a personalized approach to coaching to the person's personality, to their strengths, using tools like the 411 and the GPS, and actually using them to map out the path for specific accountability to the agent's goals, not only for production, but in personal areas of their life too, so that all areas can grow. Not just the service of the clients in closed units. They can grow and reach their goals through their real estate experience. So next up is going to be systems and processes. Really, this probably should have been the first one on the list, and yet we underestimate the importance of systems. But I would say for a repeatable 5-star experience and reviews, providing the same level of customer service, whether it's you're crazy busy or it's super slow, or you're on a cruise or you're on vacation or wherever you are in the world, we call this the success team. This is the administrative backing and the support that's provided to each and every agent on our team to be able to have systems and processes that are followed every time, no matter what.
I love it. Okay.
Next up is reputation. I would say a high-powered reputation through established reviews and established what we call in a marketing circles mind share in the community, and to be able to have a magnet of a reputation is important.
I've lost count. Where are we?
I think that's 6. So
Okay. There's
that
going to be
was
10. We just know that much.
1, 2, 3. I have 4 more. So that was number 6. This one's number 7. We've got no. This one's number 6. Man, I can count. I should have put numbers on this.
This one's number 6.
Whatever it is. Next up is going to be the collective genius, right? So shared experience. That means the knowledge of the whole is greater than the knowledge base of the one. I believe there's never any just arriving in real estate. If you think about everybody who's ever existed in real estate industry, there's no like pinnacle of like, okay, like this is the pinnacle of when you've officially have arrived, which means we all have areas to grow, and we all have areas of the unknown, of where we just don't know what we don't know in certain areas. So when we collaborate with each other in an environment that's supportive of collaboration and encouraging collaboration, the opportunities are limitless. Right? Even top producers need a sounding board at times to come up with their best strategies, right? And which is exactly what you talked about with us going to Keller Williams. So next up is this is a repeat. So, a high level success team support handles the 80% while you handle the 20%. So really we have a list of 9.
And that's the issue with counting. 9, 10, 12.
12 and 4,
matter.
and we're back to 8.
All
so
right,
this is number 8.
Number 15, go.
Let's talk about wealth building opportunities. This is one where in this kind of environment, when you've mastered all these other ones in a team environment, wealth building opportunities is next on the horizon.
Not a math
I know, right? Listen, that's why I'm in real estate, because I can't math, especially in the morning. I can't math. So wealth building opportunities for team members. That means partnerships and businesses.
You should see her try to do coffee. It's like, how many cups of water did you use on this one? She's like, don't do math to me in the morning.
I don't have any space in my brain for what the cups to the cups are. I can't. It's a visual. So wherever it is on the visual. And you can imagine how.
Some things are funny because they're true. All right, continue.
All right,
17.
Stop distracting me. Wealth building opportunities. So partnerships and businesses, investment opportunities, collaboration and investments, profit sharing, and more. There's lots of opportunities there. And if you've noticed, I've not talked about leads. That's the last one on the list, is leads.
Funny.
Imagine that. All of those items being a value toolbox, and then leads are last on the list.
Why are leads last on the list?
So in an interdependent environment, we call this the 3 pillars of lead generation. So the number 1 pillar, because Jason and I are relationship based, we value our relationships in our community. So that means we want to perform such a high level service that people will refer us and will come back time and time and time again. That's the goal. And so leads, we work to establish relationships so our agents know how to establish those high level relationships as well, so that they can participate in those relationship-based business, just like we do, where repeat clients come back time and time again. We create raving fans, we have partnerships in the community, and then we are valued within the community. Next up, though, it doesn't stop there. So it's important for the people who know us, love us, trust us to use us and use our agents. The second pillar of that, if you've got a stool, it's going to typically sit on 3 legs. And so the second pillar in that strategy is going to be active activity in the marketplace, meaning like open houses and door knocking, doing food drives, doing collaborative activity to meet new people, right?
Got it.
So we're going to train our agents high level on how to do that. That's the business of real estate, what we call lead generation. The third one is going to be the what we would consider come list me's, or the people who walk in our front door at our office or call our team line, the ones that are the agent referrals that come from all over the country. We just came back from family reunion with Keller Williams, right? So these are the ones that come as based on that are ready to rock and roll, ready to move forward with their real estate goals, and that are considered gimmies, right? So those are the 3 pillars. So leads is important to know that it's a relationship-based business. We work to take care of the people who know us, love us, trust us, and meet new people to be part of our world, and we train our agents to do the same thing.
That's awesome. All right. So that's going to be your Team or Not to Team podcast. We appreciate you guys being here. I want to thank my wife for taking time to come down into my studio and spend a little bit of time with us talking through I don't know if we ended up at 15 points or, The 7,000 points
That's right.
of the team
There's
or
at
not
least
to team.
9, I think.
But what we know is that they are all important, and
Right.
you do not need numbers next to them in order to achieve. So if you're interested in opportunities on a team, you have a specific question, please go ahead and leave a comment below. If you have a team, we'd love to hear from you. If you're thinking about getting on a team and you're local, we'd love to talk to you. But at any case, please go ahead and subscribe, give us a thumbs up to help the algorithm so other people that are out there that may have this question can actually find this video. Until next time, we really appreciate you guys very much, and we will talk soon.